Deadpool and Wolverine. This is my spoiler review. I do have a review up on soundofbetterinmyhead.com. Pretty much no spoilers in there. If you want to watch that or read that first, or instead of this, however you want to do it. Minor warning: somebody's playing music in the other room that may or may not make it in the background of this video. So hopefully I'll be remotely entertaining enough to keep you paying attention to what I'm saying. All 6 people that usually watch my videos. Hopefully the dog doesn't start barking again, because apparently it's the time of the day where the neighbors are starting to come out, and that's the end of the world for her, and she must defend the couch. And I'm giving this movie a 3.5 out of 5. Almost to give it a 3, gave it a little extra nudge just because I like superhero stuff. Thought it was fine for what it was. I don't think there was anything too surprising. Like, I had a rough idea what the film was gonna be like based on the trailers, and it's about what I got, not much more than that. The plot's kind of simple in a way. It's somewhat, not as many flashbacks, but it's got a rough feel. The feel reminded me of the first Deadpool movie, and there might be some spoilers in here for the first Deadpool, but that had an opening sequence. He did a flashback to kind of explain where you got. The basically gist was that he was trying to track down Ajax so he could get his his face returned to normal. And this movie starts off with the action sequence, does a flashback, how he got there, and the quest is basically he needs to get a Wolverine from point A to point B, more or less. That's a simplified version of it, because the details actually don't make a lot of sense when you think about it. But essentially, Deadpool is recruited by the TVA. He's told that he's needed for some future thing. And that his universe is dying. Somehow Logan's death caused their universe to start to come apart. Deadpool gets the bright idea that any Wolverine could be substituted for his Wolverine. So he starts searching for a new Wolverine, and then he finds the one that we see in the trailers. And basically they get pruned and they get sent to the Void from the Loki series, and he's trying to get back from there. And then just, wackiness and all kinds of stuff ensues from that point. Like I said, it just doesn't make a ton of sense. Like, I don't know what his plan is. Like, I know he's trying to get... Is he just trying to get back to the TVA again? Is he trying to get back to his universe, hoping that just Wolverine being there fixes things? Like, it's not really clear what he thinks this is going to accomplish. And he ropes Wolverine into the plot by telling him they could use the TVA to fix Wolverine's timeline. It's also weird because the TVA is known more for time travel, but here it seems like they're using it more for like going from the different realities and different multiverses, which is kind of strange. And it says you kind of got 2 big bads, but they don't feel like that integral to the movie. It's like Mr. Paradox ends up more or less being a big bad because not only is Deadpool's reality dying, but he wants to kill it off now instead of letting it die naturally into 1,000 years. So that makes him a bad guy. But he's not really doing much except for trying to activate this device to actively, do much to stop our heroes. And then the other villain is Cassandra Nova, who's just evil, pure evil. Basically, she's got very few redeeming qualities. They have to get past her to get home. They do briefly get her on her side long enough to, get home, and then she just decides, I'm just gonna come over here and destroy all realities. And just that extension of that just feels kind of like thrown in as that seemed kind of out of nowhere. They seemed like they're kind of done with her, and they got home. And it's like almost you didn't need a big bad, but they had to have a big bad. I don't know. It didn't feel organic to the story, and this didn't feel like we were building to that. The character stuff, Deadpool is just Deadpool. There's some heart hidden in his story arc, but it's all just covered by Deadpool being himself and being crazy. This new Wolverine, you get just a hint of what happened to make him the worst Wolverine and make him so upset with himself. I thought his arc felt a little rushed. It's because it's so late that you find out what he did, and it's just a couple words of encouragement from X-23 supposedly enough to get him back on board and trying to be a hero. And I don't know, it felt like it just didn't have any oomph to it. Same thing with Deadpool's story. Does not really hit me okay, you really got over a hump with these characters. It just didn't land that spectacularly to me. Action was fine. overall, like I thought some of the stuff, especially when it got like more bloody, it seemed like it was like seemed more like the more CG based, so it looked a little more fake. Secondary characters, I like the concept of basically this team of forgotten heroes coming together. You know, Elektra, Blade, Gambit, and X-23 to help our heroes. I just felt like there was a little bit more to their arcs too that could have been there, like about them because they're claiming they're forgotten, and it's kind of because they were movies before MCU, before like the bigger X-Men movies. So I understand where that's coming from. That's more like a meta thing about them being forgotten, and it just never felt like they had a big payoff to. Like I don't know, it felt like there actually could have been a story there that made these characters a little more weighty, and like make you really feel like for them and really want to see them succeed. You know, they kind of and then they felt like they were cannon fodder. Like if they would have all died at the end of the battle with Cassandra Nova's forces, it wouldn't have been that big a deal because they're just kind of like, well, they're just not going to exist anyways because Marvel's not going to use them in this form. So I wish there was a little bit more to it, but whatever. Another big thing is, I think a lot of people assume that this movie was going to be setting up a way to get mutants into the MCU. Because right now, as far as we know, they're kind of doing some with mutants, but there's no X-Men in the MCU. There's no, how do we get these characters into the MCU, make it make sense? I think people kind of assume this movie would kind of be like the jumping off point for that, but it's really kind of kept it all separate. It's like they just kind of did their own thing. Like there were ties to the MCU, but at the end of the day, they all went back to like where they started. In some ways, too, this movie kind of reminded me of like the Fox version of Spider-Man No Way Home, where that one took a lot of characters from the previous Sony Spider-Man movies and brought them all together. It did happen to be happening in the MCU, whereas here where they took a lot of characters, heroes and villains from previous Fox X-Men films and put them all together. Like I said, it wasn't as meaningful as bringing those other Spider-Man in. Like I said, Elektra and those guys just didn't have that kind of a weight like those characters did. It's funny because there were times they did actually want to do a big Marvel crossover in with the Fox characters, and it just never happened. So this is the closest we get to that. And like I said, it was just okay. It's like it was almost a glorified MCU movie because it really only kind of hit the fringes of the MCU, and it was mostly just like Loki related. And yeah, they did mention the Avengers and all that, but it was mostly just clips from like different Avengers movies, Captain America and stuff. Another cool cameo, I did like the fake out. You thought they managed to actually get Chris Evans back as Captain America. For a minute, since he didn't see his face, I thought there was going to be a little fake out that it wasn't going to be really Chris Evans, but it was. But it turned out it was the Johnny Storm, Chris Evans, Human Torch. So that was a pretty funny gag. A little disappointed that he got taken out. The little Wolverine montage was okay. I was kind of hoping for something a little more. We got some decent ones like the Age of Apocalypse Wolverine, and the comic accurate height Wolverine was pretty funny. The Henry Cavill Wolverine, brown suit Wolverine. They said it was just enough of a tease to kind of like be like, okay, that's cool. Weird thing is, all the footage they showed for this movie showed Wolverine with no mask on. All the merchandise showed him with his masks, like the comic accurate mask. So by the time he does put this thing on, like basically like the last 10 minutes of the movie, I don't know, I almost didn't like it. I was like, I was so used to his look without it that I don't know, I almost didn't like seeing him with it on, even though I wanted him to have it on. It's a little bit like Logan. Logan, he had this cool beard the whole movie, and at the end, they trimmed it down back to the classic sideburns. I was like, you know what, the beard look was working. I know he usually has the sideburns, but I think the beard was working for me. I don't want to go too crazy in the movie. I don't want to do like play-by-play. I just kind of get my rough thoughts about it, and obviously there's a lot of spoilers involved in that. I'm sure there's a ton of stuff I could have mentioned. I don't read the Deadpool comics. I've read some earlier issues, but I never got into like the Deadpool core, so seeing them was just like, okay, whatever. I know that they were in the books, but none of them did anything for me. I did think Nice Pool was pretty hilarious. And I really did feel like that was definitely a different character than Ryan Reynolds' normal Deadpool, so I thought he did a good job of like feeling a different character altogether. There's not much else in that. Like I said, I did like the credits. They show clips, mostly behind the scenes stuff. A lot of the Fox, Marvel stuff, like the X-Men movies, Fantastic Four, even the Fan Four stick, which got no love at all as far as bringing a character over, which is fine. Although there was plenty of jokes they could have made with that. And then we got the post-credit scene with Chris Evans one last time, which was funny. Like I said, again, I was hoping the ending would do something towards setting us up towards how these characters might roll over into the MCU, but we don't get that. Especially that we now learn that the Fox X-Men universe has been apparently saved from destruction, so it's still going to continue to exist, just separately at this point. But I don't know. That's about it. Like I said, it was decent. Like, I enjoyed it. I was kind of hoping for just a little bit more something to it, but for what I was expecting, I was like, it was about what I expected. On that, like I said, I do have the shorter, non-spoiler version of this review. I have other TV reviews, other movie reviews, and TV reviews. I got my comic strips. I got all that at soundofbettermyhead.com, so if you want to go check any of that out, that's awesome. Other than that, thanks for watching.